Hello friends, it's Pastor Moses coming to you with this week's Midweek Thoughts. This week is the start of Advent, but it's also the last week of our fall sermon series on work and worship. What is work and how does it relate to worship? We have spent the last 7 weeks looking at what those two words have in common. And this week, we culminate all of what we had learned by coming to the table. Coming to the table. Now, some of you might think, how's that related to work and worship? Well, communion is probably one of the most important parts of our worship. It is a sacrament, it's something that we do, it's a means of grace that we experience, but we come to the table. There is action involved, there is work that is involved. We come to the table. And some of you will remember back in the day when you actually physically came to the table and sat at the table. Now, as we're looking at what work and worship is in light of communion, I was reading from this book, Work and Worship, that we have been looking into as the pastors were preparing. And this is what Irenaeus writes. He writes this: "Our Lord commanded his disciples to offer to God the first fruits of his own creation, not because God was in need of them, but to enable the disciples to bear fruit and show gratitude. He took a piece of creation, bread, and gave thanks, saying, 'This is my body.' Similarly with the cup, also part of creation to which we belong, he declared that it was his blood." Every time we come to the table, we always think that we're just coming to accept. But 2 weeks ago, Pastor Amy talked about tithing and bringing the first fruit. And that's what we do as we come to the table. We're offering God what is his that we're using, and we're offering it to God as part of our worship, as part of our work. As we come to the table, God continues to bless us with his blessing. Workship. Workship. I hope you can join us as we look more into what it means to look at work and worship and communion, and as we celebrate the start of Advent, the period of waiting, as we expect the coming of Jesus. Hope to see you this Sunday. Blessings.